Welcome to the About Mansfield Consumer Advice Series. I'm your host, Steve Casillo. We appreciate you being here today, listening on your favorite podcast platform. Here's another 10-minute nugget of information. This goes out to every homeowner in Mansfield that owns a tree, which is pretty much everybody. Yeah? At least every homeowner, I'm pretty sure, owns a tree. And so today we're talking with your friendly neighborhood certified arborist, that would be Cameron Scott, about post oaks. Enjoy. Well, you know, if it's Wednesday morning, it is time for the About Mansfield Consumer Advice Series. I'm Steve Casillo, your host. I appreciate you being here today. And we've got a couple of Consumer Advice Series episodes today. The first one, starting right now, you are either watching live on Facebook, you're watching the video on YouTube, you're either watching the video on LinkedIn, or you're listening to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Either way, any way it may be, it is greatly appreciated that you're here, and you are here specifically today to learn about urban landscape and specifically post oaks in the urban landscape. And as we do with our weekly episodes here, we bring in your friendly neighborhood certified arborist, Cameron Scott. Welcome back to About Mansfield.
Thanks for having me back.
And he is broadcasting live from his car again because he's out working people's trees.
That's right. Working around South Arlington, 76001, around Sublette Road and Cooper Street. A little bit later, I'll head back north.
Today, I wanted to talk about one of the most iconic trees in the United States, and we're talking about the post oak. And I see them all over my neighborhood, which is a beautiful, beautiful tree. Wanted to talk about post oaks, but first of all, wanted to let you're the arborist, the specialist here. What is a post oak, and how can Mansfield residents identify them, say, when they're out on a walk?
Yeah, so post oaks are one of our oldest native oaks here in North Texas. They're a keystone species in what's known as the cross timbers region, which is what we're all in right now. They're characterized by large spreading branches, slow growing, a deciduous tree, which means it loses its leaves in the winter time. But it's one of the oldest trees around, especially around in Mansfield. They really did well in the old pastures. Excuse me, in the these remnant pastures that have sprung out.
It is that time of year, isn't it? That allergies are flaring up. I know I've been experiencing allergies as well. You doing okay?
Yeah, I had a cold over the weekend. I'm just kind of still getting over it. So.
No worries. Yeah. The post oak, you said they did very well. Are some of them around the decline here in Mansfield?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're really, really sensitive trees. They don't like a whole lot of change. What they like is just to be kind of left alone. All this new develop around Mansfield, not just Mansfield, but especially prevalent here. It's really altering their environment, and they're not responding super well to it. If you drive around these days, you can look at them and you can see maybe the top of the canopy starting to die back. Maybe it's in the dead of summer. We're looking at yellowing leaves, probably from nutrient deficiencies. All this new construction that's going in, it's just not good for them, and it's hard on them.
How long does the average post oak? What's the life expectancy of an average post oak?
If in the right soil conditions, you can probably find a post oak pushing 300 to 400 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. For some reason, when we talked about this just before going live, that I've owned several, I think as many as close to a dozen Bradford pear trees. And so I kind of, my mind has always been in that mindset of a Bradford pear lasts about 30, 35 years. So,
yeah.
you being the specialist, 300 years for a tree is phenomenal.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's all relative, right? There's certain trees out west literally last thousands of years. Post oak around here, it's all relative. So
the bark plays into that as well. That it helps protect the tree.
Yeah, it can. Back hundreds of years ago, when this area saw regular prairie fires, that thick bark definitely helped them survive those events, and actually they're what would be known as fire adaptive, to where they actually thrive under fire conditions, and it's part of their history and heritage. And that's another thing that's been taken away over the past 100 years or so.
You'd mentioned earlier that post oaks like to be left alone, that they're in a natural environment. They work under their own pest management as well. Then I'm assuming that if a tree can last if they can last 1,000 years, that there's some type of organic pest management going on as well. Would that be true?
Yes and no. More so that everything is it's in balance within its own natural environment. When we bring outside stressors in, like we're going to put St. Augustine down where it needs a lot of water, that's going to weaken the tree's natural defense system. When you have a post oak that's it's seen a lot of change in its environment, it's not under this natural prairie soil anymore. It's got a pool next to it. It's got an irrigation system. It's got all these tropical plants next to it. It stresses it out, and that can lead to overall just a slow decline. One thing that post oaks definitely do not like is what's called wet feet, and that's wet soil. So they're a drought tolerant species here in North Texas. Unfortunately, that means they can't really tolerate any sort of excess moisture. So if you're watering for your grass again and again and again, sooner or later, you're probably going to see some root rot symptoms start to manifest on your post oaks.
What about planting a new post oak? I've just purchased a plot of land. I'm going to put a house there. I think this post oak would look really cool next to right over here next to the barn or the silo or wherever. How do you start with a new post oak?
Well,
with an acorn.
To be honest, it's probably going to be pretty difficult. First of all, it's pretty rare that a supplier is going to have post oaks available. They're a really, really slow growing tree. So that makes them not very popular from a kind of a cultural standpoint. Now, if you have your plot of land that already has post oaks there, that's their best regeneration method, is where you have these seedlings that are already establishing in the native prairie soil. When they're very, very small, like smaller than my pinky here, that's when they're easiest to transport and put in their new spot. But again, very, very slow growing, very long time to grow into that beautiful, large trophy tree that you see around.
Yeah. All right. And then on the other hand, say I've got a post oak on my land and it's doing well. How do I maintain it to keep it doing well?
Well, if it's in a kind of what I like to call a managed area, a place that's not a natural prairie or a forest, then definitely get a soil sample sent into a diagnostic lab, see what's going on with it, see if there's any nutrient deficiencies that need to be addressed. And I would put it on a fertilization program where it's fertilized every 6 months, once in the spring and once in the fall.
He's your friendly neighborhood certified arborist. He's Cameron Scott. Cameron, if someone had some questions about post oaks, about trees in general, about how to take care of your tree, how can they reach out to Cameron Scott?
Well, you can send me an email at cscott@bartlett.com or call my office at 817-656-8733.
Fair enough. That's excellent information. We'll see you again next week.
Yep.
On the road. Cameron Scott, thanks for being here.
Thanks.
We appreciate you listening to the About Mansfield Consumer Advice Series. By the way, if you own a business and you are interested in being a part of the Consumer Advice Series, if you have the knowledge to give information in 10-minute increments to the consumers, shoot me an email to info@aboutmansfield.com. Again, that is info@aboutmansfield.com. We'll tell you how we can get you all set up. Appreciate it. We do it again next week right here on the podcast.